Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. We are August 27th. Interesting things to come today. We are going to have, I've got the clear skies up here. You like this? Clear skies for new highs in the market. I got my aviation shirt on, flying high today, loving the markets. Like I said, the markets are bullish until they aren't on Tuesday evening's video. So I do want to go ahead and bring it over to a little sneak peek. If you guys have been curious, you guys know I do teach in the training pit. Well, I've got it up right here. A little sneak peek. You can see I just did a poll over there, and we have lots of good things. We have Paul that's talking right now. If you guys are interested in learning around the dark pools, come on over to the, I don't know what just happened. I just totally lost the chat. So let me see here. All right, there we go. So it's at thedarkpools.com/services is where you guys can find the dark pools. So I just want to go ahead and show that to you, and I wanted to show you something really cool. So here I do have a chart for PED, and I said, hey, targets, right? Targets 210, 242, 262, and 326. So we pull it up, and we've got it right here. I do post some charts every single morning, so check them out on my Twitter. Actually, I was a little lax this week, added more, but you can see, sure enough, we came up, PED went to a high today of 250. So 242, hit that as a target, and potentially we will be moving up even higher. Next potential target up here might be headed up to that 270, 262 range, and then on up to maybe 270 after that. And let's go ahead and get into the market. So you guys saw that. That's with TrendSpider. Pretty cool software there too. All right, so we've got, you can see it right here. PED is up and rocking. Now this is a lower float. It was on my watch list today and had nice movement. Hey, if it breaks above 153, watch out. Sure enough, it did pre-market. Boom, right on up to 210, pulled back, found consolidation right here around 161, and then moved on up further. High of 250. Could it pull back? Yes, it might have a pullback. I would say if it goes down below 194, that it might be done for the day. It's looking like the stochastics where we might have a bit of a pullback here. We shall see. So let's get into the SPY. I see some people are watching. Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure that you can hear me, because we do have a guest coming up today. So these were my targets earlier today. I was like, hey, look, 349.69 might be the mark. Then we might come back down to 344.67, or even potentially lower, 343.38. That is if we do a go ahead. I like the 9-minute chart, and I like this one right here. So if we can break below 346.89, I feel like we are going to potentially be coming back down to that 344.67 mark. We did have Powell talking this morning. There was a lot of choppiness that was going along. We had some turbulence today in the markets. It did actually just upward trend, but it kept going whipping around, right? There was some whippy price action, a little bit of turbulence up here. The air is thinner. There's no clear direction and targets. So I had, thank you, Valerie, for saying you can hear me, that there was some movement, and we've seen some price action happening up here, crazy volatility, right? We're pretty much back at this resistance point that we were at pre-market. For it to break out, it broke out, pulled back. Is it going to hold a support? If this does not hold a support, again, watch for that 346.90 area. That might be an area to buy long for a potential move to the upside. On my upward trend here, I do have 351 as the upward target. Let's go back and look at it on the daily chart. We are setting all-time highs for the Qs and the SPY. So let's zoom in a little bit right here. We do have a bit of a doji right now that could completely change. We are in the middle of the day. And it might pull back all the way back down. You can see the 8 EMA is down here at 343. So that might be our point at which we come back down. That would be a nice consolidation move down to the downside. And then we could end up, if we had that downward day, it would actually look pretty bearish engulfing, taking out this candlestick. So anything is possible. The big guys are in control. All we have to do is follow them. And that's why I did show the dark pools up there earlier with the training pit. A very cool place. Will change so much in my trading career. So I highly recommend it to people. Why not go ahead and follow these guys that have billions and billions of dollars, right? You do see in the description, I do have the information, the links for Trade Ideas. We will have Steve from Trade Ideas coming on just in about 8 minutes. And he's going to do a demo. You guys can get 15% off if you do use Carpe Profit 15 as a coupon. But let's look a little bit more at the Qs. And in particular, let's look at the stocks. So we have the Qs is coming back, testing resistance. It's pulled back even more than the SPY. When we look at the major holdings, right, for the SPY and the Qs are really the tech stocks. The only one that's really holding it up right now is Microsoft, a little bit of PayPal. Tesla's up 100, that's not too shabby, right? 4% on that name. And most of these are, it's a bit mixed, but for the top 80% of the holdings, most of them are red, I would say. It looks like it. And so knowing that we could still have a healthy pullback on the Qs down to 284, we would still be in that upward trend. You can see in the past, it came all the way back down to our 21 EMA. So we might see it come all the way back down to 276.44. Hey Samuel, I do like the 425 on the 45-minute chart as my sort of make it or break it. So let's go ahead and shrink it together. That's going to be at 276.20. So healthy 15 points to the downside, and we would still be in an upward trend as long as that went ahead and held. So seeing that we are so far away, you can tell we are a little bit extended right at the moment. Doesn't mean that we're not going to be, that I'm going to go ahead and suddenly put on a bear hat, but you can see, hey, back here, we went ahead and we bounced off of it, August 11th. So can we come back down, have another bounce off of it right here? Sure, not a problem. It would seem like a bigger downturn because we would be 16 points. That would be probably 8% pullback, but it would still be in that upward motion, right? Because we're still in that upward trend. So keep all of these on watch, right? We've got Apple as well. Apple has the split going through on Friday tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting to watch. Tesla is going to be on the 31st as well. So, you know, hey, this could come all the way back down to 461. That would be my potential entry to buy it to the long side. And Tesla as well. Let's see, Tesla, it's just surging up there today. It's beautiful. 1789 would be my point at which I would like to get in, right? I don't necessarily want to chase it. I want it to come back to a reality to go ahead and come on in. All right. Let's look at my list for today too. So you guys know I do have my watch list that I do. Hello, Trader Raider. How's it going? So we've got my list that I set up every morning. I do it live on Ticker Talker if you guys want to check out my channel there. So ahead, Abbott Laboratories. Hey, if it breaks above 113.24, potential long, breaks down here, potential short. Let's look at it on the 9-minute chart here. So sure enough, came down, had a nice potential trade from 10:30 until roughly 11 o'clock Eastern, all the way down to 109, so roughly $1 to the downside right there. Dollar General gapped up and it failed. Subsequently at 9:50, Had a nice move down here to 200. That's been holding as support. Came up, hit the moving averages, and now it's pulling back down. The SPY has been super choppy today, like a little chopped salad. Yes, Samuel, I'll add on FireEye. We had JD as well. Now, do you guys see the H here? Dun, dun, dun. Hello. Are we going to break down below here? We did have some buying volume that brought it back up last time it was here. Are those buyers still here? Are we going to continue to hold, or is it going to go down from here and come down and test right here, $78? If we do fail right here, that's $78.50, we might have a gap fill down to the downside down here at $77.25. So PED, we already talked about it a little bit. Maybe it's halted at the moment. It looks like potentially there's a halt because it's not trading. Wouldn't be surprised by that because it is a lower float. It's very volatile. We also have CCL right here. Came up. It's setting lower highs on the day right here. Actually, you can draw a bit of a trend line. It's really somewhat respecting this trend line. Every time that it hits it, it is selling off. Something else that's important to note is see what time these things happen, right? So this is 9:42, came back up, set a new high, 11:12, 90 minutes that happened, right? So are we going to see that in 90 minutes, 11:12, let's add another 90, 42 plus an hour, so 12:42. Is it going to come back up here and test it again? That'd be kind of interesting if it did. That'd be really cool if I just saw something like that. So I need to keep an eye on that. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. Always appreciate support. Got enough haters out there too, but haters don't come unless they feel jealous, right? So that's a good thing. That's the way I look at it. All the trolls and everything like that. Somebody on Twitter, there seems to have been a huge number of trolls out there with financial people that they're trying to attack them. So look at this. Wow, 9:42, 11:42. Interesting, eh? Yeah. I'm starting to see a pattern. Are you guys? Not on this one. So Neo actually had crazy short volume. They had something like 142 million short, 61% short volume from yesterday, and it gapped up. So are we going to see that this is going to roll over here? If we break down below 1880, actually 1850, that looks like a stronger support, 1870 right here. If it does break there down to that 1750 area, I'm looking over here, 1750, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's go ahead and do FireEye. And I have Steve in the waiting room, so let me go ahead and admit Steve. So Steve, you can probably hear me. I'm just finishing up. I've got two more charts, and then I will go ahead and bring you on. So we've got FireEye right here. And Samuel, FireEye is looking like a short here on the past 2 days. Let's go ahead and look at it on our daily chart and see. It's hitting the 21 EMA right now. We've got that 425 EMA right here. If it breaks down, it could have a potential gap move down to the 200 simple moving average at 1380 right there. And then you can see it might be a little bit more congested here. If it does break below 1340, nice, I'll move down potentially to 1285. Okay, let's go to Etsy. All right, so Etsy does look like it might be ready to roll over and curl down here if it cannot hold that 125 area today. We might see a nice move down to 114.40 right here, that 50 simple moving average, which was also resistance back the first week of July. So that looks good. Okay, let me go ahead and let's see if we've got Steve here. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Steve. Steve, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
I can. Hold on 2 seconds. I'm going to make you the host, and then you should be able to go ahead and do your screen share now.
Where might that be, the screen share? Let's see here, more.
At the bottom, I believe, or maybe at the top.
I've done it once before.
Yeah.
I know I can figure it out. Right there in green, share screen.
There we go.
Share. There we go. It should
All right, it's
Talking about the
just,
ID, so of course I had to pull it up and take a look at it as well. It does look a little bit under pressure to me.
okay, hold on 2 seconds. Let me go ahead and switch it so everybody else can see it. All right, hold on. Oh, that's not the one that I want. 2 seconds, guys. I'm just going to bring this over here, and we will do this. All right, Steve, you are all set. Let me just hide. Let me go back over here. There we go. All right, Steve, I've got you all set. Take it away. So I'll do a little intro. So this is Steve Gomez from Trade Ideas, the software that I use every single morning to go ahead and set up my software. And I think, Steve, you were what, user number 2?
Free. I would be using them as free. Dan and Phil, the founders, are 1 and 2, so I can't break into that.
Very nice. Awesome. So go ahead. Take it away, Steve.
Sure. So yeah, I've been using this real-time scanner for 17 years since the inception, and once I realized how great it was, I could not do without it. Use this scanner on my trading floor. I would drive an hour to a trading floor each direction, and if this thing ever went down, if the platform ever went down, which it rarely did, literally everybody would just get up and go to breakfast and wait for trading news to come back online, because it became that much of an effective tool for using and analyzing the market in real time. I talk a lot about it in my weekly webinars. It's human and machine going forward in this new paradigm we've been living. And humans can't do it by themselves, and we certainly can't rely on machines to do it by themselves, whether it's auto trading or using a program like this to essentially parse and curate the cream, the ideas that you want to see, and bring them to the surface. And so the human being works with this technology and works with a curated list of ideas, and that's where the success comes. I'm not sure if your audience, Jane, if they're swing traders or active day traders, it doesn't really matter, because there's probably a bit of both, and that's not a problem. I use trade ideas for swing trading these days. At one time I used trade ideas for active scalping, so it doesn't really matter. Whatever it is you want to do to try and approach this game, you can use this product in real time to help shape what it is you want to see, the good ideas. Because, I mean, let's face it, there's 7,500 or so symbols out there in the U.S. markets. And you can chase your tail for days on end, especially as a new trader. And new traders come in, and one of the first things they scratch their head on is, what should I focus on? And so if you try trade ideas, and I'll just give you a hint, Jane's going to be, reminding you, her followers, that we're going to have a Labor Day sale coming up. And you have a chance to try it for 25% off. And she'll have the links available for you when we get that promo code as we get closer to Labor Day. But let's assume you take that special and you log in, and you're basically starting off with nothing here. You've just got kind of a toolbar, and you open up this channel bar. This is a preordained list of ideas for layouts. So one of the more popular ones is people come to trade ideas for pre-market. I'll just leave my layout here, and we'll go to this pre-configured layout. There's nothing you have to do to configure. And I know Jane uses this stuff pre-market. I see her tweeting about the pre-market gappers, and it's all right there for you. So before the market bell rings at 9:30 Eastern, this is in constant flux, up and down, and showing you where the movers are pre-market. And of course, once the bell rings, this gap column will freeze. And so PED is the gap winner of the day. How about that? Gap and actually ran. Are they all going to do that? No, but at least trade ideas, this is a gap and crap. So the first two at the top, gapped up 91%, took off. The second one gapped up 57% and failed. Let's keep the third one just for fun. Kind of a gap and fail. But here's a list of great ideas pre-market. If you're somebody who's looking for bad news and wants to short stuff, these are all going to be your gap down. So pre-market literally is going to point you in the direction of where the action is each and every day based on these gappers. Let's say you're a swing trader, or maybe you're somebody who just wants to emulate some of the things you've seen us talk about. You go to the Trader's Vault here, This is like a palette of a bunch of ideas that are already pre-configured. This is a great scalping, looking for high relative volume, up or down, doesn't really matter. Walmart was the last high that came through there. Click on Walmart, you can see it's making a new high on great volume. A couple of my ideas are in here as well. The jam down by is something that looks for a new low on the day on stock charts that are very strong. For instance, right here. This is the low on the day of a daily chart, but it's only showing me a low right at the 10-day moving average, where that arrow is marked on the chart. Ideally, the stocks will bounce from here, but that's my contribution. I've got a couple more contributions on here as well. The A table, I believe, is one of them. 52-week highs. You can just take your pick. So there's plenty of ways to get a running start using trade ideas on the channel bar, that is. So I'm going to load my go-to layout back here again.
And Steve, I think that's something that's awesome too, is once you utilize the software, you get used to it, you can set it up to where you have your default layout that you can load, write it open, you can switch back to it, or that's the one you use for the trading day.
Exactly. Let me take that a step further, Jane. So I use this as my watch list. This is a really simple tool. Everything on here is in my wheelhouse right now. Of course, I've got the major ones. I'm watching the dollar religiously. But everything on here has a reason. But notice as I click through all of these in my charts, let's take out my whiz pen here in my charts, I've got this heart enabled. Well, by clicking that heart in my chart, basically saying, hey, I want to monitor this symbol, and it automatically throws it into this symbol list right here. Now, how easy is it to set this up? Here's what you do. You go to this channel called the My Like channel, and this is the scan. And this is what's cool about setting up your layout that Jane just mentioned. You kind of pick and choose what you want, where you want. So I'm going to say, I like this scan. I want to use this scan in my layout. We're going to use this command called save and share, or just save, because I can share it with you right now if you wanted it, if you were a user, but I'm just going to save it to my own cloud bank. Because I can't make any changes, and I don't really want to monitor the day on this channel. I just want to use this channel as a palette, grab what I want, kind of go window shopping, and then take it. And now I can go back to my layout. I'll show you how you can easily incorporate any single window you see on any of those channels, whether it was the pre-market channel, the gappers, so you like that. Come back and you say File. Let's load from my cloud bank, and it's going to be the most recent one in there. My like symbols. I'll go ahead and load that, and there it is. It's a duplicate of this. I've resized it a little bit, but everything on here would have the same symbols loaded just by clicking this heart symbol. By the way, I want to downshift real quickly to a market analysis here, Jane. This is really significant.
Yes.
Of course it's happening while we're speaking. I tweeted out 10 minutes ago, you need to keep your eyes on this, guys. This is a big year of put buying in the S&P. It's blasting the highs right now. And look at the precursor it gave, the sell-off. I'm not going to call it a sell-off. The pullback that could turn into a bit of a sell-off here. We're very overbought in SPYs.
Yeah, and the Qs too.
Yeah, so there's no coincidence that the VIX took off early. This happens a lot. You can see this thing just refusing to go down the last couple of days, and now it's blasting off. And this was a definite precursor to what's happening in the moment. I just couldn't leave that on.
For sure. Yeah, no, I was watching it too, melt down a little bit. Now, I do have a question from Samuel. Can it track institutional money or someone just buying a lot of contracts?
Okay, so that's a good question. What we'll do is we will go and we will say, what can trade ideas do? And this is our main configuration panel right here for every single scan. And in our search tab, we've got a entire life. I'm going to go to actually an alert window, which gives us a bigger palette to choose from because there's events in there. So we go to our search tab, and I can just scroll for days. This is all of our scans and filters and events and things we search for. So what we do is we drill down and we use the keyword institutional. Okay, held by institutions. This seems to be the only filter that we can monitor for you. And it looks like it's held in percent. So if I wanted more information on that, I would highlight it, I would click help, and help would bring up the documentation coming shortly. It's going to take us right to institutions. Okay, so it's institutional ownership, it's the total number of shares. So here's your calculation and definition on how we quantify held by institutions. But to answer your question, that's what we would have. Now, if you had other ideas, such as does trade ideas give me Bollinger Bands? I really like Bollinger Bands. Yes, we can do those in a 5, 15, 60 minute or daily, of course. Very popular filter that a lot of people use is RSI. You can Show me stocks that are making a new high but are overbought on the daily. Well, we would do something like that. We would say the maximum RSI is 20. So these stocks we're seeing new highs today, maybe we throw some relative volume in there as well, are going to be guaranteed to be oversold under 20 RSI on our daily charts. So this is how you can back into pretty much anything you'd like. Brian Shannon talks a lot recently about anchored VWAP. We have added an anchored VWAP here. I could come in and anchor VWAP our cues from the bottom that day right there, and we can see, yeah, we're kind of overbought. We're pretty extended from current VWAP, so we could be due for a bit of a pullback. So lots of tools and tricks in this platform. Definitely, if you have more questions, keep shooting them to Jane. I can't see them, and she can let me know, and I can let you know if this is something that works for you. One thing we have not talked about is the AI. It's something that is interesting for new users, and I'm clicking on the first one here this morning, OSUR. It highlighted a sell short signal right there, and that one seemed to work okay. Now, do they all work? No, they don't all work, but what the AI does is for a new user, it's going to get you into the interesting stuff. We have a 5.96 relative volume here on OSUR technology. So, as I mentioned earlier, a new trader can be overwhelmed by the 7,800 or so stock symbols. Where do I put my focus? Well, one of the first places to put your focus is on things that have strong relative volume, and the AI is going to generally try and point you in that direction. It'll give you an idea in real time about entries, and curiously enough, it's funny, the AI is better at serving up entries, and once the entries have been taken, here's a great example, but no, it's not a great example, but if I can find one, I'll give you one. The AI oftentimes gets out a bit early, and I'm going to say the AI got out right about here, I can tell on the chart. But look, there was a little bit more meat on the bone. Well, now we're a bit lower now, but in that moment, I can tell you a lot of times these AI trades, the AI gets out a bit early, so what I'm saying is use the AI for entry ideas in real time, but learn to manage the trade yourself, because we're seeing data showing that letting these trades work longer on the day and not getting out and exiting when the AI does in a conservative fashion, you're leaving a lot of money on the table if you don't do that. So, kind of an interesting side note. Well, where should I go from here, Jane? Are there any...
No, anybody else have any other questions? I don't see any other new questions right now. How about also, you do have the options, I know that Barry, who also has the live trading room, can you show Barry's window? So
Sure.
they,
Okay.
yeah, there is the free trading room that you guys can see it in action. That Barry is there every single day. I think it was on.
Do you mean his layout or his actual trading room?
Yeah, well, his layout is good.
Yeah, I don't have his trading room up, but the good thing is you can go to a YouTube stream. That will bring up. It's super simple to do that.
Isn't there his channel there? I thought that there was his channel.
Yeah, his channel's there, but just real quick, anybody can go to our YouTube stream and they can see Barry. He's mirroring his live room on this YouTube channel. So that's kind of cool. But we do have a Barry channel for the Barry fans.
Yeah.
I just need to go find it.
Yeah, because one thing that I know Barry does monitor as well is he has the options scan. So it will show up the options that are, or the stocks that are having high option activity, and also the social mentions on StockTwits. There it was, right there.
Where?
Down.
Oh, there it is. They've changed this thing up on me so much. Okay.
I know, and they changed the pictures. I'm like, oh, I gotta familiarize myself with the pictures.
So here's an easy way to actually emulate the exact layout that Barry kind of provides people to use.
Yeah, and there he has, well, now he just has his watch list repeating, and...
Some different things, but let me show you what he did have. He has, actually, there's an actual channel for that now, Jane. It's called, we passed it up earlier, it's called the Options channel. And a lot of that stuff you were mentioning is probably going to be on there.
There's 26 different channels now, so there's a lot of different ones if you guys like, yeah, metals, or you like low floats, or you like earnings plays, or you name it, it's available.
So here's some of the options ideas, options play strategies. We go in and we take a look at a simple idea. So these are stocks making new highs. Their relative volume is 3 times normal, what it normally would do for this time of day. But here's where it gets interesting. We've done over 300 volume, options volume today. And options volume difference between these two options volume today. Oh, percent, and then in contracts. So anything doing over 300% normal volume in options is going to show up on that scan. What's also kind of cool about this right here, this is a single stock window, and I actually have it on my own screen, so I'll go back to it. Actually grab that if you want and save it to your cloud. But the single stock window has been, I don't want to say getting me in trouble lately, but it's been helping me buy things. I'm super bullish on silver. Let me just check the silver, hanging out okay. But I'll start looking at something, say for instance, Cordialane silver. You know, I found this by going to our single stock window and went to the similar tab. And all of a sudden, it's like a shopping spree for me. All of these silver stocks just screaming my name. Okay, there's Cordialane. I bought FSM off the same thing. I told Brad that this thing is really, it's either going to get me in trouble or it's going to make me do well. But when you have an idea, an airline, a security stock, or anything like that, you can go to the similar tab here, which by the way, we have our details, short float, volume, news on the stock today, what they do, who the profile. And here, somebody was asking earlier about insiders. Okay, we do have an insider tab for certain stocks that will pull insider data. That similar tab is really interesting. You can SSR, and I was in that one, but I took profits before it failed. I'm starting to reload on a lot of these, so I find this similar tab really interesting once you get bullish on a particular sector.
Very nice. Now, James had a question. Can you connect it and trade directly from Trade Ideas? I want to add on to that. Do you guys have it so that you can auto trade with the AI?
Yes, you can auto trade with AI. And I'll bring up another thing here. This is our sim trader. I've got some simulated trades in here, but you have the AI tab right here. And notice these strategies are all turned off. And underneath that trading module is the actual AI trade. So if I had these turned on this morning, I could have simulated auto trading in them. And a lot of people like to do that because you're not risking anything. You're starting off and see, okay, is this something I could manage? And what can I expect? And what are the pitfalls? And I might make a few mistakes cheaply here without costing me any money. So you can do that. You can auto trade in simulation mode. Now, if you wanted to connect these to your actual brokerage, you can do that. However, it's only available right now through Interactive Brokers. They've basically been with us since the beta test, and they've been growing with us all along. But we are in talks right now. We're playing in what they call the API sandbox of Ameritrade and E-Trade. So hopefully we'll have some news on that before the end of the year. But that is definitely moving forward. We're making progress on the back end and connecting to those two brokers as well.
Very nice. I know, didn't Barry used to use it for Questrade too, or no, just Interactive Brokers still?
No, just IV. Yeah, he connected to IV. So what's nice too is if you have an IV account, you literally can, let me bring that up again.
I don't know if you have any positions on the SPY or Qs, but we're melting here a bit, so.
Yeah, most of my positions are in metals.
Okay.
So, I mean, as long as this guy doesn't fall out of bed, should be okay. This is one of my biggest holdings, by the way. That's TGB. Very bullish on copper and
I was just teaching today about short squeezes and how we had large dark pool prints, and silver for about 8 weeks was over 70% short volume.
Interesting. Well,
which is what drove a lot of the squeeze, or the price.
We had a big Fed meeting this morning, and the Powell made a few comments and that, jerked the silver around, but I'm still pretty bullish long term. We'll see how today closes. Speaking of short squeeze, this is one of my favorite scans here, the A table. Real quickly, we've got just a simple configuration. It's like an IDE score. We call our score, and I give it an 80, which means this takes about 10 different technical points, 4 different fundamental points, and gives them a rate. Everything below 80 I don't want to see, so I want to see the B students and the A students. That will typically give me stocks as I click through here that are going from lower left to upper right. But I'm sorting them based on short float. So what are these people with 62 million shares outstanding in BGS, BG Foods? What are they missing? This has an 84 score, so it's about a B plus student, and there's 27% still short this thing. Why are they doing that to themselves? So you're trying to find the perfect storm of strong stocks using our score filter, but bringing the ones to the top. Chewy, why does Chewy still have 24% short? Oh, Wayfair's been, this one's been the leader.
Beast, yeah.
Wayfair was about 40%
Now in the stock information window on the upper right, can you add that score?
Of course. And I actually have it in here. It's right there, 87. I've done that.
Okay, perfect. Got it right there. I'm curious, what is XRT? Because XRT has been massive, over 80%. And
Okay, so XRT, I don't have a short float data for that one. Oops, wait a minute. Okay, so that's because it's an ETF.
yeah.
So I don't have any short float data for XRT, unfortunately, but the score is 84.
Got it. How about iDrive? iDrive
DIY.
and
Got it.
DIDRV, Victor, yeah.
Okay, no short float. Okay, so anything that's going to be an ETF, I'm not going to have a short float, but the score is going to be there, 88.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, see, this is in real time. I bet you it started the day up in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's down in the 80s now with this big drop.
Got it. Cool. Interesting. I didn't realize there was no short volume, or short float. I'm trying to get Brad to add short volume.
Okay. Yeah, we're working with a new data provider, so that's probably on his list.
Awesome. Awesome.
So.
All right. Do you guys have any other questions? That we answered James' question and Samuel's question. I don't want to take up too much. Yeah, I like fuel cell.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier. Brian Shannon likes it too. I actually got out of it, and then I might look to get back in. We'll see. One that I am in right now, alternative energy, is DE.
Okay.
Energy. They make big energy boxes for people off the grid. What I like about it is this little shape right there, sideways action, right into my 10 period moving average. Couple dojis don't bother me. Market can hold on. Maybe that can move higher.
Yes, for sure. Oh, what did I just get? SPY crossing down 346.89. Breaking to the downside a little bit here. All right.
And then the VIX continues.
Yes, the story of the VIX. Did you hear? They are making a new one. Actually, you have the Qs up for NASDAQ, VLOQ. They are just releasing it. It's going to be a volatility index indicator. It's not out yet, but they are releasing it. And they are going to have 2 ETFs to trade it in 2 weeks. So I'm curious about the timing of that. And if you coordinate that with GAN, 144 days from February 19th is September 14th. So that could be a indication.
I'll keep an eye on that one when it comes out.
Yeah, perfect.
These don't seem to, the sellout doesn't seem to be affecting a lot of my mining stocks, which is what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that if the market does sell off, people rush to the gold and silver stocks as a safe haven.
Yes. Well, we've definitely seen gold and silver and Bitcoin have big moves up in relation to the dollar dropping.
Yeah, and I'm long X, not as a trade, but as a fundamental generational low. I really feel like it's just a matter of time before this country rebuilds its bridges and infrastructure. So,
for sure. Awesome.
One of the few non-technical trades I'm in. I don't really care about the charts.
And watch corn too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Those poor people in Iowa.
Exactly. Well, and China had flooding, so we're selling to China.
And they're buying all our coins.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate your time today. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can always email me at jane@cjanetrade.com or put it in the comments below. Thank you again, Steve. I really appreciate your time today.
You got it. I'll log out now. Take it easy.
All right, thanks. Bye. All right, guys, so you saw it. That was Trade Ideas. I do use Trade Ideas live every morning to go ahead and set up my scans for the stocks that are gapping with the large volume. But let's go ahead and turn on the charts really quickly again. Let's go ahead and look at the SPY. You guys heard me say, hey, I want to see if the SPY is going to go ahead and hold above that 346.94 level, which it came down and tested it. And let's go in and see even, all right, let's do a little line right there. See if we had big volume coming in on the shorter time frame chart. That might be that support area to get in. Let's pull it down here. And let's see. One thing that I do absolutely love about TradingView is that you can go into even a 30-second chart. And we'll see if we had some big buying right at that volume. 346.94. So it went down below, just below it, and it seems like we had some more volume that came into it, 346.94 right here. We had these two higher volume candlesticks, but most of the volume looks like it was up above right here at 347.67 and 347.67 here. So would look for that area potentially to be one to watch. 347.67 or 75 right here to the upside. See if we are going to have a move or a close above that high volume right there, or if we're going to continue to the downside. As always, guys, have an amazing day. Seize those profits one trade at a time. Carpe profit. Bye-bye.